Assalamu alaikum friends, I'm Sadia Sagir. Welcome to this YouTube channel. Today I'm going to discuss an assignment with you which is based on Shelley as a poet of nature. Percy B. Shelley was a prominent English romantic poet and was one of the most highly regarded and influential poets of the 19th century. Shelley loved nature and extracted joy in its company and rid himself of his company and feeling of loneliness. Love for nature is one of the keynotes of his poetry. His poetry abounds in nature imagery. On love reflect colorful nature imagery and glorification of nature. He shows fruition and fulfillment in his poem. Other poems, A Dream of Unknown, or To the West Wind, The Cloud, To a Skylark, To the Moon. All these poems are remarkable poems of nature in which we find a profusion of nature picture. The glittering and picture of the sunrise in the Eugenian Hills is an example. He beautifully described the moon into the moon by calling it a silver sphere and further described its light as infused lamp and rays being arrows. Shelley believes that nature exercises a healing influence of man's personality. In Eugenian Hill and the Recollection, he finds solace and comfort in man, in nature, and feels its soothing influence on his heart. Shelley, in his poetry, appears as a pantheist too. Pantheist means atheist, means someone who believes that God and the universe are the same. In fact, his attitude toward nature is analog. Analogous to that of Wordsworth. मतलब शैली का जो एटीट्यूड है नेचर की तरफ वो वर्ड्स से बहुत ज़्यादा एनालगस है, बहुत ज़्यादा मुशाबा है, मिलता जुलता है. Who being the greatest nature mystic, his predecessors and the founder of romantic revival greatly influenced Shelley. Shelley considered nature to be a companion endowed with the power of ridding human beings of their pains and agonies. This view of nature has its origin in Shelley's personal experience. Whenever he is sad, he turns to nature and succeeds in drawing comfort from it. During his day in Italy, the worst day in his life, he kept trying to find joy in the beautiful Italian landscape. In lines written among the Eugenian hills, Shelley displays a mystic involvement with nature. He finds in nature a never ending source of delightful image. The sun is to him not just a natural phenomena, but something bold, red, radiant, half declined on the level, quivering, quivering line of the water crystalline. The surrounding scenic beauty of the Eugenian hill succeeded in soothing his melancholy for the moment and filled him with a radiant optimism, heightened by his musing on the so-called island of delight. Many a green isles need must be in the deep wide sea of misery, or the mariner, worn and wan, never thus could voyage on day and night and day, drifting on his dreary way. While Wordsworth is fond of the static and quiet aspect of nature, Shelley is fascinated by the dynamic. He himself has admitted, I take great delight in watching the change of the atmosphere. This explains his great love for the sky and the resultant composition of his sky lyric, or to the west wind, the cloud, and to a skylark. The west wind never rests, and it moves speedily and continuously to perform its function. Over land and sea and sky, the clouds and the skylark show an equally intense restlessness. Ah, woe is me! Winter is come and go, but grief returns with the revolving years. The airs and steam renew their joyous tune. The ants, the bees, the swallow reappear. Shelley was a keen student of science during his youth. That's why most of his descriptions of nature are based on the popular science of his day. The clouds is the most finished illustration of Shelley's knowledge of science. The poem almost seems to be written by a meteorologist. For example, his line, sublime on the tower of my sky bowers, lightning my pilot seat, clearly show his knowledge of the relationship between clouds and electricity. J. A. Simon remarked, Shelley is one with the romantic temper of his age in ascribing to nature a spiritual quality and significance and in regarding man's life as dynamic and progressive. But he goes beyond romanticism in his idea of vigorous dynamic life of nature. So we can conclude that according to Shelley, nature is at once splendorous and deadly, a dynamic force that cannot be tamed by man. His passionate search for personal love and social justice is shown in his poems, which are some of the greatest in the English language.